you know.
Hi, gamers. Vice isn't here today, and I'm panicking. But we've got a hotline,
Hello.
so here we are. That's it.
Flawless.
Perfect. I don't think Vice could have done it better himself.
Perfect.
But I suppose what Vice would then say is, fine, a little bit about yourself.
I got a sweet jumpsuit on Friday.
Yeah.
Do you need to know anything else?
Just more details about the jumpsuit, probably.
The box that it came in had bugs on it.
Oh.
Yeah. Starbreeze's
Falling apart.
janitorial staff had to be let go in the last collapse.
In shambles.
So why do you why do you have that jumpsuit? What got you that jumpsuit? Where did you earn it?
So Starbreeze, for the release of Payday 3, did the Do Time to Get Time competition. Noli and I have been previously introduced. We went to we were cellmates for a time.
Did you kiss?
Not on camera.
What happens behind bars stays behind bars, right?
Exactly. So much of that shoot had to be cut. Just so much graphic PDA. Elizabeth was struggling to keep our hands off of each other.
Makes sense.
Tom and Grouse specifically. Holy moly!
I believe it.
And so, before finding yourself in prison for the launch of Payday 3, what is it you did around Payday 2? And, what was in your pitch that got you there?
So my pitch was basically just a video of me dressed like a whore saying, do you know how they treat people like me in prison? They treat people like me in prison real fucking good. And they thought that was funny.
Dragomir was like, this one. We want this one.
Fresh fish. Yeah, exactly. My props was just, I look great in cuffs, and I've got 4,000 hours in Payday 2.
Easy. Makes sense. Makes sense why I saw you there. So, I mean, from my perspective, I'm mostly interested in the challenge runs that you've done previously around Payday 2, because I've done a few of my own, but it actually seems like yours are more sadistic and you live stream the whole thing, so
yeah,
you can't cut out any of the suffering.
Yeah, I had one challenge run, and I just was trying to death sentence one down pacifism. Holy moly.
What I need to know, basically, because the closest I've ever got to pacifist was the no shooting run. How did you beat Panic Room?
I didn't.
I
didn't beat every heist.
Okay.
The problem is like the amount of effort some of the heists took. Like Hoxton Breakout alone took me like 8 months back-to-back effort.
That makes sense. I mean, I don't do them on Death Sentence 1 Down, so that's a pretty big. I remember once saying in a video that if I were to do it on Death Sentence, every single heist would deserve its own challenge run video.
Yeah, that's what it felt
basically,
like.
Yeah, your perspective on it.
Heists like Hotline Miami, the bomb heist Forest, just it really was just hit repeat until you get unbelievably lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd like to be like, I'm so good at the game, but no, Kingpin is busted, and I just hit retry until the fates aligned.
And that was your strategy, basically. Wait around the Kingpin injector, use that to not die, and do objectives during that period.
The most annoying thing is is green bulldozers are like the only thing that can damage you when you've got the injector on. And so many times I would be like having a panic attack because I'd be like at the end of a run and then a green bulldozer would turn up. And then everyone would be like, they're the easiest one in the game. What are you... you're bad gamer.
No, they are uniquely nasty for challenge runs where when you die, you're dead. I think that's what's always so much harder about these solo runs.
Exactly. They're the clothesline.
And I mean, Sea Dog and I got to experience that in our own challenge run recently, especially because we kept the rule where if I died, I died.
Yeah. I was getting periodic updates about how the run was going from C.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some brilliant new clips to share with the gang, and it'll just be you like squealing into the microphone.
Hotline was very very formative in my editing of my video. Also, the whole intro was Hotline's idea.
Yeah, I felt the inspiration actually knowing you both. Yeah, it was fantastic. That was maybe the fastest I've ever recorded, except for the fact we had to have a break. One of the fastest challenge runs I've ever recorded. We just like knuckled down and did it.
It's because I made you. You refused to play.
Yeah,
You
pretty
spent
much.
2 hours with me on the first heist and said, no, I'm never doing this again. And I said, no, you're in too deep. Or I'm doing this.
Cool. So I do think there's go on, Hotline.
I'm surprised that's one of your fastest. That's the hearing what you two were saying about it.
I had to go fast. Sometimes it's just about when you can find time and stuff for these things, but yeah, I think there's a lot of challenge running potential in Payday 2. I think there's less in Payday 3, but you've tried some stuff, right? Haven't you?
Kind of. The fact that you're forced to play with bots, and the fact that the game is very well balanced means that challenge runs aren't very well to put together.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I did actually ask Mio, can we please not have the bots? Mio was like, well, that obviously your challenge run needs are not our priority right now. I was like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we need to make sure that the 3 people who want to play the game without bots get what they want before we get, 4-digit players.
Which I guess is a perfect segue onto Payday 3. I mean, you played Payday 3 before almost anyone. So you have that unique experience and that sort of perspective on it. How do you think the game
successfully developed the most biased individual on the planet?
Yeah, well, I've been accused of being that as well. How did you how do you feel the game sort of developed from those first experiences with the game to where it is now? Because I know you loved the game at launch, and we had a good time in prison, although we were shattered.
Yeah, I feel like kind of unfair that you've been levied with so much, like, they were being paid to have these opinions. How dare they think the game was good? Could they not tell? It's just like, I hope you guys realize that was off of the back of about 4 hours of sleep and then 9 hours of shooting. And then having a gun put to the back of our heads and being like, wrap this up in an hour and a half and you never get to leave this place alive. But
that's how it felt.
Yeah, basically. But I mean, I think it's great. I've got a lot of opinions. I don't know where you want me to start.
Well, so start at how you felt about launch. Obviously, let's ignore the elephant in the room. That's the technical issues. That's kind of it was outside of their control when they got to that point.
Yeah,
what do you think of the sort of design and things like that?
I personally thought the design was amazing. I really liked stuff like the launch armor system. I thought it was great. I liked having only one deployable bag and like 4 armor plates and that was it. It felt borderline like kind of like a survival horror where it's just like having that limited level of equipment on launch. I really enjoyed that sort of level of heist of fantasy that once the alarm went, your clock was running. It's like, if we aren't done here in 5 minutes, we're fucked. And that's what I enjoyed about launch.
Yeah. Well, my take in hindsight on that is that the system itself wasn't necessarily flawed. The problem was it didn't have the heists to support it. Because it got to the point, if you remember at launch, where most people would just armor bag their way through them. They'd never run out of resources because you'd complete the heist too quickly. So I just didn't think it had the framework to work within what they released. I think if there was more structured, longer heists, like a Boys in Blue, actually, a heist makes you stay there for around 10 minutes, it could have done better.
Yeah, I think that they wanted to follow on with the, like, golden grin mentality, where it's like the only thing that's stopping you from doing this quickly is your understanding of it. But the problem is that after 1, 2, maybe playthroughs, you know where the USB stick spawns, and you know that the secret painting is the one that triggers the endless assault. You can beat the heist in 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's what led to it being so maligned. So, do you feel like as they've sort of given concessions towards what I suppose the Payday 2 fans and people who expected something different from the game, do you think the game's gotten worse, or do you still enjoy it as much?
I still really enjoy it. I it's one of those things where it's like it's less in line with what I enjoyed so much about launch, but I understand that if they didn't make these concessions to bring the Payday 2 fans back, Starbreeze were kind of put in that position of either they move from the hill or they die on it.
Mm-hmm. And they have tried to balance that to some extent, right? You can still play
I think
the way
it's in a pretty good. Yeah, I think it's in a pretty good spot. Running 4 plates and sentry guns, I still get my, oh my god, my plates are running out gameplay, and Payday 2 fans can have their purple armor and green health bars.
Yeah. Well, you do have the most unique style of playing Payday 3 I've seen, and I actually really rate that you play the game like that, because I couldn't.
I'm being a boomer, crotchety old man, being like, this is what it was like at launch. You kids have got it too easy.
And Seadog, as a massive Payday 2 player, as we all know, where do you fall on it all?
I think it's fun, but it doesn't have I have so many choices in Payday 2. I can do like 80 different heists or whatever, but on Payday 3 it's like, okay, you run through them. I can run through them all in a stream, and then I'm like, well, now what? So I just,
we go again.
We go again, but then there's like ones that I don't like, so I don't play Cook-Off, and I don't play Turbid, and like that cuts down at least a double-digit % of the heists. So like, then I'm like, I'd just rather, until there's something new in Payday 3, like Boys in Blue, I'll stick to Payday 2 in my free time, but I'll still hop on Payday 3 if someone wants to play. But it needs more content for me. I don't really care about the systems and how it all works. I couldn't really care less. I'll adapt to it, but it's just the content for me.
I mean, that's
gotta have the Payday 3 brain rot memory problems to be able to enjoy it properly. I do think that's the big thing. I'm going to spend 4 hours of my life, and I'm going to spend 2 of those just replaying No Rest.
Mm-hmm. The extended play sessions are tough.
I'm not a big reader also, so the skill system, the skill points, the skill lines, whatever, I don't know what they do. Dude, you could ask me what's on my build, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Is it good? I don't know. Probably not. Mario on top of it keeps asking me why I die so much, so probably not. But I don't know what it is, so I don't care. I just play and hope it works out. I don't play efficiently.
Is that your fault or is that their fault?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. I don't love that I have to scroll for a year to get through all the skills, but I don't know. I'll just figure it out, and I have fun, so who cares? Once everything's finished and in a good spot, then I'll learn. But I don't want to start learning, and then they change it, and then learn again, and then they change it, and then learn again. I'll just wait till they're ready, and then I'll start reading.
That's it. Yeah, I had 2 5-hour sessions around Boys in Blue, and it does get to a point where it's like, what next? You do need that short-term memory loss to be like, oh yeah, I've not done No Rest for the Wicked in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Last played 25 minutes ago.
And I'm trying to reach back to like the launch Payday 2 experience and remember like what kept me playing and if it felt the same. I do think that heists were more replayable back then. I think I was more comfortable going back in and running, I don't know, a second framing frame because there was more different going on between the 2 individual experiences.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think a lot that I feel, in my opinion, a lot of the like randomization that happens between heists is just playing with randos, and it's the strangers that you end up with that keeps things different. Because Payday 2, the randomization between heists wasn't much more than just like framing frame, for example. The things that are randomized is the security door in day 1, the location of the sold paintings. Day 2, nothing. Day 3, the location of the server room.
Maybe framing frame wasn't the best example, but I mean, in stealth, there's more variation. There's different locations for the vaults and things. It's just, and it's a multi-day heist as well, so you get more varied experiences between days. Although I'm not necessarily a fan of multi-day heists coming back. I just think that must have been what kept me going at launch, where I struggle more within Payday 3 after a couple of hours. I have fun for those couple of hours, and I suppose that's like healthy, but we're not healthy gamers, are we?
It's the game telling you to stop.
Like Nintendo games always used to tell you, like, "Hey, you've been playing for a little while now, buddy.
Take a break. Make sure you got a wrist strap on."
Always.
Yeah, I think personally, Payday 3's biggest shortcoming at the moment is just content drought.
Mm-hmm.
Is that once we've got that, once you don't have to be stupid to be able to play the game for 4 hours, that's when the game is going to be at its best.
Yeah, and I mean that's sort of perfect because we are finally reaching the point at which we might see an end of the great content drought of December to whenever we finally got
7 months from syntax error to a new heist. And I'll tell you what, adding Boys in Blue, I would say that's the perfect time to go on holiday. There's your one heist for the next half year. Goodbye, everyone. We're going to the Bahamas.
I mean, my take was that they need to ride the momentum on that because I do see like a genuine sentiment change in the community. I see it firsthand because I put out a tweet the other day that was like, not a complaint, but it was I'd like to see more achievements in Payday 3. I'd like to see more randomization in Payday 3. That's what would keep me playing or kind of solve the issue we're talking about of like the play session being cut short once you've done every heist once. And there are lots of people who are like vehemently disagreeing with me, which you would not have seen 5 months ago.
Oh, big time. I mean, that is good. Steam reviews have hit mixed.
Mm-hmm.
Big.
The dizzying high. We had over 1,000 players for. I haven't checked today, but for a while.
No, yeah, I think so as well. Like it's the weekend. You'd hope people were still playing.
People's weekend plans are still canceled.
Yeah.
I haven't had weekend plans in months. It's terrible. It's devastating. My friends hate me.
I'm still blaming it on Boys in Blue.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you're both fans of the Boys in Blue update and the update that came before it, the progression update, I guess we could call it.
Yeah, I think that the progression is a little overtuned still.
Yeah.
The fact that, like, just being able to look at someone's level and being able to judge their level of their level of experience, just being able to be like, okay, this rando is level 150. I should expect that they've run this heist 5 times minimum. But now it's like, I see someone that's level 150, they maybe have 10 hours, they might not have even seen what syntax error looks like.
Yeah. And it's funny because I know from the initial conversations with Mio and like the dev diary, back when they were doing dev diaries, a big thing for Mio about the challenge leveling system was that was more of a display of like overall understanding of the game, right? Because you had to play every heist to get challenges for those individual heists. You had to use every weapon to get challenges for.
Yeah.
And it obviously backfired. People didn't like it. But it did a much better job of seeing if people were genuinely experienced.
Yeah, for reference, the challenge leveling system was an awful idea.
Yeah.
So I do think that this is the right way to go, just overtuned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost certainly. I don't know how they tune it down because I don't think people will be very happy with that. I think it's much better to go the other way.
Probably. I think if they just let us see each other's like renown levels, that would be the easiest way of doing it.
Yeah. And like give some real reason to level up your renown as well while they're at it, because now it's just a number.
You can do your
not that infamy was anything else,
contest.
but like
but yeah, them taking the challenges out was whack.
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd left them in so you could see them, but like that just wasn't how you leveled.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
that was another reason to keep people playing the game, having already done a full sweep of the levels.
Yeah.
What else can I do? Oh, I've still got challenges for this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a strong proponent of keeping the weapon challenges or adding weapon challenges that, you know, promote different playstyles and things that don't necessarily impact leveling or anything. Just something worth chasing.
Something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the decision was probably a bit of like a rip the band-aid off kind of thing. I also think they do want to develop a better challenge system, and so they probably felt like it was best to do that whilst it wasn't in the game. But I think they want the challenges gone, so as soon as people logged in, that they saw, oh, something monumental has changed here. The game now functions differently.
True. For
So
somebody who doesn't
it was
stay on top of the blog posts, decides to give the game another try. They're like, oh, fine, let's see what challenges I've got. And they click on challenges, and there just aren't any. I imagine feels pretty liberating.
Yeah. So I think that's why they play it like that, and I don't necessarily think it was the best solution, but maybe in the medium term they can find a better way of doing challenges that is more fun and gives you more to do. Yeah. I mean, what about the heist itself? Are you a fan of the Boys in Blue heist? Because I've been criticized for being too negative about the heist.
I think Boys in Blue is incredible. Like, the number one thing that I like about Boys in Blue is just how, like, rough and tumble it is that a lot of Payday 3's heists feel kind of like soft in a way, where it's like under the surface, for example, it's like, oh, there's all these doors that are locked electronically, so we've got to hack the Wi-Fi and then find QR codes, and then we can unlock them normally. But Boys in Blue is like, okay, the evidence locker is behind this wall, so we've got a tow truck parked outside. We're going to blow a hole in the wall, and we're just going to rip that sumbitch off its hinges. That's got heister fantasy all over it for me. I think vibes-wise, Boys in Blue is fantastic.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think the vibes are spot on. I just think that it's mechanically really simplistic, and that's a shame. But it has actually grown on me since I've played it more. I think there's something to be said for the fact that there is no negotiation phase, basically, unless you kill the cops. And that just means no messing around, straight in there, right?
Yeah, and I love the fact as well that it's just like, the police, they're not security guards. They'll shoot on sight, guys. They don't fuck around. Which I think is a fantastic way of, like...
Yeah.
Giving a differential.
Thematically, and also like they nail the atmosphere. So yeah, it has really grown on me. I just think it's basically a battle arena heist.
Yes.
And not detailed, interesting. It's not the big bank we were looking for. And I think I'm always gonna be more critical of that when we're at this situation where we really need a heist with a bit more depth to it.
I think that's fair. I agree. But I will say that it's nice that they're giving us a heist that we have been saying we want, of just the, like, give us a defense mission, give us an opportunity for, like, us to run out of supplies where we have to sit and defend something, and we have to, like, the thing that matters in the heist is our ability to fight the police, not your ability to just memorize how the heist happens. So I think, if I had to guess, this is them being like, okay, we're going to give you something that is that, and if it's good, we will implement this in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I guess it's why like drill and drill adjacent objectives just kind of work, and we might want to get away from them, but like it does force you to play the game the way that is probably the most fun.
Exactly, and I think Boys in Blue, it probably works best as a proof of concept for that, rather than as you were saying, a brilliant heist of its own. But I think considering the state of the other heist, it stands out quite well.
Yeah. So the other big question, sadly Vice isn't here to moan about it, is about the modifiers, because apparently those are still doing Vice's head in.
Oh, if you want someone to moan about it.
Okay,
I could moan for days. I don't think, other than the I don't think I have there's a single part about them that I think was executed properly. Like, so
Okay.
if I pulled up a list, I could go through them. But just like, you probably saw my opinion on Twitter of like, first of all, the federal negotiator. I think that's on paper a really good idea, considering that's how, all other Payday games have worked previously. It's thematically appropriate of a way to get somebody out of custody. But the fact that it's come out, and if you don't have somebody on your team that's got menacing and somebody goes into custody, they're just fucked. Their options are watch somebody else's gameplay for however long is left of the heist, or disconnect. Like, I don't understand how they were programming this in and they were like, this is fine. Because the way people are finding games at the moment isn't by going into the like heists list and then picking one out and then reading the modifiers. They're hitting quick play, loading into a match, picking medic bag as an asset, and then readying up. And then you drop in, and because your build isn't specially tailored to this one heist that you didn't know what the modifiers were, you are either you're potentially just ruining 20 minutes of somebody's life.
And even then, once you load in, it's a gigantic wall of text also that's so poorly done. It's like, I still don't know what it is, and I'm reading it.
Exactly. Most people find out that you've got federal negotiator in a heist because somebody's gone to custody, and you just have to apologize and be like, I guess I'll see you in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that one's particularly egregious from like a design perspective. They didn't have the forethought to really consider what they were implementing. I mean, my take on it is that the modifiers are all right. Like, they don't. I still think they were really badly targeted for the problems the game had. Like, they were very late. The best example of that is the fact that they added the armor piercing one around a couple of updates after they just fixed the health problem. So like, everyone was running adrenaline anyway. So armor was no longer
the health problem. Once they just put the shovel down of burying armor builds 6 foot deep, and then they decided to spit on the grave.
Basically,
being like, by the way, armor is not the most effective way to keep yourself alive, and now in this update, it won't even keep you alive.
Yeah,
pretty much. That's the thing about like being a 4-plate user. That's the most frustrating one, because it is just like if I'm playing the game properly, I'm gonna be just constantly working on the armor, making sure I'm not losing my plates, and then if I've got armor piercing rounds, almost guaranteed by the end of the heist, I'm going to have 2 to 4 plates left, and I will be downed.
Yeah, you don't have lots of downs because you're an armor build, so...
Yeah, exactly.
It was, I think, personally, this is a great example of the problem they have with the update pipeline, where this was probably conceptualized back in, I don't know, September, the first month of the game's life. Now, here we are, we have a solution to the problematic build, the best builds in the game, and then it takes 7 months to implement, and at which point the game is played in a different way. I think this is an example of that happening, and I think there's a couple of examples of that. My overall take is some of the modifiers should just be the way the game works. I think the Federal Negotiator, that should just be how the game works. You should be able to dominate without a skill, probably. Or at least you have a compromise where you can dominate without the skill if someone's in custody and needs that kind of
I mean, my opinion is it should be like Payday the Heist, where it's just like they have the skill, and if you have the skill, you middle mouse on someone and they give up immediately. If you don't have the skill, you have got to like line up a series of events, and then they give up. So it's just like by taking this skill, you're just bypassing the hassle. Everyone has access to it by default, and just I agree. Actually, you should just be able to get people to do it regardless. Whereas there is some steps you have to jump through. You have to, I don't know, blindside the cop or damage them significantly, and then it would work even without the skill for trading purposes. And I think the thing that like most concerns me is the sacrifice of that heist of fantasy is the alpha team, I think, is the most egregious example of that, because part of what I really liked from the start that I really liked about Payday 3 was that like sense of escalating resistance, is that sense that the police are like, oh, we'll just drop in some guys. We'll be able to stop them, no problem. Send in the first responders, the guys in the squad car. Just get them in cuffs. That doesn't work. Okay, send in the SWATs. Okay, that didn't work. Hit them with the heavies. Hit them with the bulldozers. We're bringing them in. That didn't work. No breaks until they're in. All right, guys. But then by dropping in Alpha Team, it's just heavy SWATs. Point of no return.
Yeah. I completely get your perspective on that. I actually think it's a really good point and not something I've particularly thought about. But I think that I don't think that works. And again, it's because of the way the heist is designed. It was much better when they made it so it didn't have to be mid-wave to change on Overkill.
Yes.
But the heists don't last long enough to feel the escalation, really, once you're an experienced player and you know what you're doing. So it goes missing. My personal take is that it should work similar to Payday 2, but with more of a spawn ramp-up or a tactical ramp-up. So heavies can spawn from the start of the heist. Actually, all special enemies can spawn from the start of the heist in specific conditions. But later into the heist, maybe the spawn cap increases. Maybe you can get multiple doses at once. Maybe they start, like I said, I'd love them to have more tactics. Originally, I was like, whoa, it's so cool the way the SWATs line up by the shields. And that's the extent of it. There needs to be more, and that needs to be the escalation, in my opinion, because the way it ends up happening is you don't really get to interact with some of these more interesting later game enemies, like bulldozers, because you don't see them very
because
often.
you're done before they turn up. No, I agree. I just think that by the dropping heavy SWATs in from the start is not the way to deal with it. And and I agree with you entirely. Like, that would be fantastic. And heavy SWATs to me are just a visual representation of that escalation. And that by taking that out, you might be able to feel that they're smarter and that they're trying harder and that their weapons hit harder and there's more of them. But there was a point in Payday 2, right at the beginning, where I was scared to bump the difficulty up, but I think I was doing cook-off on very hard, and it must have been a bug or something. But I remember seeing shields coming through the window, and they were the overkill and above shields. They were the FBI SWATs. So it went from fighting blues to fighting from police SWAT to fighting the FBI. And I distinctly remember having this moment of being like, oh shit, they're taking us seriously. We need to go. And I think it's a shame that the Alpha Team, I feel really undermines that.
Because that is definitely something they did quite well, actually, at launch. I just don't think the heist support it. But the heisting fantasy thing is something that Andreas talks about a lot and was a huge objective early on in Payday 3. So, yeah, I think any modifiers that undermines that, not necessarily a good thing, but there's more that could be done to support these additions and get something that both of us would enjoy and both of us would appreciate, I think. Because, my take is that the modifier where multiple specials can spawn should just be how the game works.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's just more fun.
Especially with how the because other than bulldozers and cloakers, so basically the taser and the nader, having just one of them spawn, they are a non-entity. Sure, a nader might get a lucky gas throw, or you might step on a taser landmine, but and bulldozers in the current state as well are just so easy to deal with that the SA can just 4-tap them, done.
Yeah, that HET Red Fox 2-shot them to the body.
Yeah.
There's too many options against them, isn't there? And so, but what happens is when there's two of them, all of a sudden it does throw a spanner in the works, and you concentrate on the wrong one, and the other one blindsides you. I just think the
you've got an HGT Red Fox, you put 3 shots into one, and suddenly you don't have enough bullets to deal with the second one. It is just so much more enjoyable. But again, the chances of you getting this enjoyment are just a roll of the dice. And again, if you're going by, quick play, chances are you're not even going to realize that that's what's happening until, the second bulldozer hits the building.
Yeah. one of my takes as to why people really like Boys in Blue is because it's had that modifier on since we got the heist, and
Yeah,
I think people like that. I think it's actually just really, and it's adding to the difficulty, and it's making the heist feel more challenging, which is something that we wanted, especially the people playing Overkill. So,
in my
yeah,
sincerest opinion, I think that the modifiers should be treated like skulls in Halo, where it's like they are optional, but you bring them with you, you'll get bonuses. I know Mio has said that he doesn't want to make them optional because he believes people wouldn't change them, but by making them optional, that would allow them to add some like completely off the wall ones. Because like we couldn't get a challenge if we were forced to play with them that made that you didn't get assault breaks from start to finish. But if you made it optional, you could get weird stuff like that. Your guns could only hold one magazine at a time, something nutty. And then at the same time, people who are bored and have done everything and want more things to do could just take every single modifier at once, which isn't an option currently.
yeah. No, I actually think that Mio's point, I think, comes from Payday 2 and how no one really interacts with the modifier system in Payday 2. I think that you solve that by rewarding it correctly.
Yeah.
Right? That's the key to getting people to interact with that system. If there's the right sort of reward, people will try it. So I'm with you there that maybe an opt-in, opt-out system with appropriate rewards would be the best way of doing it.
Yeah, and people will find a balance that works best for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but they've finally found a live service element of their game, and they're going to hang on to it because they don't have very many others.
So true, so true.
Yeah. So modifiers, the jury's out on them. Really, we're not sure. I think they're fine, but
I mean, by the reception to the modifiers generally seems to be anywhere from neutral to hatred, which I think is not a very good place for them to be.
Yeah, or that they should just be the way the game works.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, I'd see that as a negative, where it's like, again, you enjoy using this, and there is just, it's on 2 out of all possible heists?
Yeah. So you better play, you've just limited your pool of playable heists even further.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I distinctly remember talking to someone, and them being like, I really want to get the meth charm, but it's got armor-piercing rounds on at the moment, so I'm not going to play. And it's like, that's awful. That's dreadful. That isn't how you should be looking at a video game.
And this is another great example of the implementation being poor, because you hear the sound of taking health damage constantly anytime you get hit with the modifier on, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
It just feels a little undertested.
Yeah. I love moaning, and I hate the modifiers.
Yeah, I think you've made a pretty good case for it. I don't think that they were done in bad faith or anything. I think they were a genuine attempt. They were just too late, poorly directed, and with a few adjustments and the ability to make them optional, maybe they could be really good.
Yeah, I just think that a good idea in principle, but Bag fumbled.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's Vice's list of interesting questions asked.
Well, hey.
We've nailed it. Modifiers, I think, should have satisfied his desire for a negative slant on modifiers. I thought maybe we could do some current affairs. I've literally just uploaded a video about it. The most recent Payday drama is around a statement made by Almir last week regarding players needing to come and support Payday 3 if they want to see Payday 3 developed into 2025, and they can't wait around for 2 or 3 years to see where the game goes. Which was, he said it himself, it was a full-on call to action. Now, I don't think it was the smartest approach, and I don't think it was that well thought out, but I did really appreciate how clearly heartfelt it was, and the level of frustration there is there, and obviously worry coming up to these next 2 massive updates that will be pretty much carrying the hopes of most of the community. what's everyone else's? I've just made a video on it, so I can't say anymore.
Right.
What's everyone else's take on if you've seen it?
I
and what
haven't
Almy
seen
said?
it.
I have.
Well, it's
But
basically what I
from-
just said.
Yeah, but from your description, I mean, yes, it is do or die. Yes, Payday 3 is making a big turnaround, and they're making a lot of changes that are making the game better across the board. And the people who are coming back are really enjoying what they're coming back to. But a statement of being, if Payday 3 fails again, then it's your fault is
Yeah.
bad. If you're the sort of person who played Payday 3 at launch, was super looking forward to it, and then felt betrayed by the fact that it didn't work for the first week, and then was missing so many quality of life changes, and then a year in being directly blamed for the fact that the game isn't doing too good at the moment, I can't imagine would inspire confidence to come back and try it again.
No, I do think it was a bit of a misstep.
I
Sido,
mean,
you have seen it.
I think it makes sense though a little bit in the sense that like, yeah, some people left at launch after launch. I get it, but it's all numbers to investors, and if they have to get views on streams, interactions on Twitter, players playing actively, the more help that they can get with that, I think the better we'll sell it to investors for the future. So, like, yes, I don't agree that, like, if it fails, it's your fault as the community. That's not the attitude that I interpreted it with, at least. I think that he's like, listen, if you gave up at launch and you haven't come back, consider at least showing support however you can, whether that's watching a stream, liking a tweet, whatever. The more numbers that they have to show to investors, I think only increases the chance of a future life of the game.
I see.
That's the way at least I interpreted it. Yeah.
I feel like I have misinterpreted how it was stated.
No.
No.
You got it right.
Okay.
If it was phrased like that, the discussion would have probably been very different.
I think that's what he was trying to
I agree.
explain. I think though that in the moment that's not what he said, which is a misstep, a misplay. It's smack that right up next to Almir saying the servers won't go down. It's in the Hall of Fame. I think that he could have worded it better, but from seeing it and watching it a couple times, that's the way that I interpreted it as his intention and his intended message. I don't think it was delivered ideally, but I get it. Like, I don't necessarily agree, blame the community, but I get it. They have to do what they have to do to sell it to investors to have a future. And it makes sense that if no one supports it, they're not going to be able to do that. If hi investors, we have 4 people playing the game. Please give us 3 more years of life. It's just not going to happen. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. So that's
you're ready for your career in PR, right?
Exactly.
Very professionally handled. I think Almir's the thing is he's a public figure. He is the most public figure we have in our community. He's live a lot. He's front facing, and he doesn't. As far as I can tell, he doesn't really mind. He kind of takes it all on the chin. And you are bound to have a few faux pas from time to time when that's the case. And I like I said, I appreciated the passion of it. I do think it was he found the wrong words in that moment. But I think what it indicates more than anything is that this is crunch time. These next 3 months are some of the most important months Payday as an entire franchise has ever had. Up there with like Payday 2's launch months and like the things that were really defining in terms of the history of the series and what it's ended up becoming. It's incredibly important, and my take is that they just need to speak through the actions, which is what they create. These updates just need to. People can't say no to turning the game on. If Houston Breakout nails it, can't blame anyone. Mm-hmm. It's that they will be there, right?
Of course, that's the big thing. If Almir, next Almir stream, he just sat there and read everyone's name out in chat, followed with "fuck you," wouldn't do anything if the next 2 heists are the most beautiful things we've ever seen. Yeah. Similarly, he could write goddamn the Iliad read the most beautiful poetry humanity's ever seen, and then Houston Breakout comes out and the servers don't work for 3 months. Payday 3 is dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I suppose the point is it's all moot. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
What
Nothing
does
we do
matter
matters. Yeah.
is August, September.
Exactly. Well, our hopes and dreams rest on the shoulders of Derek Ray.
If it's Derek.
That's true. I looked up his IMDb earlier, and looking at his recent credits, I don't think he'll be saying no to Payday 3.
Oh, is that right?
Oh no.
I love Derek.
I love Derek as well. Genuinely, I love his voice, but his last acting appearance was one episode of a TV show back in 2021.
Oh,
Oh, I see. Okay, well,
he's just been prepping
maybe
for
he's
this.
bound to be back.
He's been
True.
He's been, getting into character, method acting for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I mean,
go on.
if you
Hotline,
look
go
on his
talk
IMDb page, all of his not personal credits, but his acting appearance, media stuff, where it's just listen to examples of my work. It is just Payday 2 trailers.
Nice.
So
You saying he peaked?
Perhaps.
Maybe not yet. Maybe Payday 3 is where he peaks.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if I were a betting man, I would say we're getting Derek Ray back.
Okay, and that's we can go back and talk a little bit about Boys in Blue and say Clover was bloody good.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my god. The character that they've given her is so good. The fact that they've gone so hard on the fact that she's just a massive thug is gorgeous.
Yeah, I think it's the best performance in the game. I think it's one of the best performances the franchise has actually seen. Give her more material. She's just so good.
Yeah, the thing that makes me laugh every time is it's just Joy saying Clover saying Captain America, unrivaled charisma. Joy saying Captain America, sexual harassment.
Yeah, no, they've absolutely nailed it, and they seem to have gone back to using likenesses again, as far as I can tell. So that's an interesting twist. And
I mean, did Clover use anyone's likeness in?
Yeah,
2?
she's based on Aoife Duffin and her appearance.
I did not know that.
So it seems like we might be moving back towards that.
Let's hope we don't get another Vlad situation, though. Oh god.
Yeah.
Watch in month 18, she's gonna look like a completely different person.
Everyone just turns into new Vlad. Oh, Clover just like new Vlad.
Clover became homeless.
They're just reusing the same asset. It's just all new Vlad.
It's a 2D sprite and everything.
Oh no.
Well, I assume there's more willingness to pay for character likenesses now that it's been made clear that we really want that. That's something that we value quite highly, and it's, I don't know, assuming they have. I mean, I've done some side by sides. It looks like they're pretty close. God, I don't want to get them in any more trouble though. If that wasn't what happened. But I think it's part of what makes the character act a free update, not a DLC, but makes it so good.
And it's a shame that they've been moving away from likenesses. A big part of the character of Payday the Heist and Payday 2 was their use of live action stuff. Mm-hmm. I think anyway. And it's kind of a shame that's been dropped entirely.
Yeah.
The only thing that we have is that picture of Butcher, God rest her soul.
Yeah, which is full likeness, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a strange one. As I understand, it was intended as an artistic decision, and it allows them to, have aging actors without showing quite as much age on the characters' faces and things like that. But I think it backfired a little bit.
Payday is a game that's trying to at least pay respects to the fact that it's set in present day. The characters have aged, the times have moved forwards.
Not Hoxton. He's now a little boy.
Where's that haircut? It did numbers for me.
For real.
R.I.P. the ponytail. Miss it every day.
Definitely. But I don't think that they would have a problem making all of the heisters really old, because they are really old.
Yeah,
Remarkably athletic, though.
Prospect.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Keanu Reeves is in his mid-50s and he's still busting moves. Who's to say
works
Dallas
out.
can't do the same?
True.
Yeah. I'm sure Eric Etabari still busting moves as well. Anyway, on that bombshell, here's probably where Vice would be like, well, we've gone through our list of questions. Thank you very much for coming on Hotline.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna hand over to Sea Dog because she's better at this.
Is anything big you've got coming up, Hotline? Anything exciting?
No.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay,
No.
okay.
I keep it small. Yeah, basically.
Great.
I'm gonna put 4 more hours into No Rest probably sometime this week. People want
Yes.
to watch that.
Okay. Where can people find you?
People can find me at the _the_hotline Twitch channel.
Nice. Good stuff. Anything you want to say to the people?
Fuck you.
The Almir approach.
Okay.
Exactly. If it works for him,
Yeah.
maybe it'll endear me to the people.
Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming to hang out. It was really fun. Hotline, I love spending time with you. Harry, I tolerate you. You know the deal. But I don't know when the next episode will be, but we'll have someone else probably. Hopefully,
Probably.
Vice will be back. I make no guarantees. This might just be my podcast now. I don't know if Vice is going to stream later. I don't know what's going on this channel because this is not my channel. But thanks to everybody for hanging out. And
Yeah.
we'll see
Follow
you
Vice.
eventually. Oh yeah, that's Noli. Follow him. Twitch/Noli. I'm CDwag.
Noli is known for being Payday's #1 goal moding streamer.
Yes. Go. Also go watch the medic run so I can take more money from him.
So
know?
true.
Yeah. So do that. You know the usual. You guys get it. Anyway.
We've done
Bye.
this song and dance before.
Yeah. You get it. Figure it out. Have a good Sunday or whatever. Bye.